Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig, it's 9 o'clock, it's time for another video. Now let me give you a little bit of a backstory on this video first of all. I spend a lot of time doing motivational speaking, and I've actually spoken at big business events literally all over the Europe. And I've consulted with businesses, not just in magic, but outside of magic. I've spoken at the business show. I've spoken at dozens of business events over the last few years. The reason I tell you that is because one of the things I get booked for is to come in and do a talk or a keynote. And normally that keynote is to help business owners. And what I try to do, my thing in the business space, is to talk about business and compare it to something else. So a lot of the time, a keynote that I get booked an awful lot to speak about is what can a business owner learn from a magician? And I talk about different principles that magicians use and how this can apply to business. But over the years, I've done tons of keynotes like that. I've compared business to Peppa Pig, I've compared business to Doctor Who, to wrestling, to even Game of Thrones. I've actually done a stack of these, and they're all very popular. And then I realized the other day, when I was thinking about videos I could do for this channel for magicians, that Doctor Who is absolutely perfect as an analogy for magicians. So this video today is all about what magicians can learn from Doctor Who. Now, I've actually done one of these in the business world, away from magic, and it's one of my most popular requested keynotes. But I think it's even more applicable to magicians, to be perfectly honest. In fact, let me ask you a question. What if I told you the single best role model for magicians isn't Darren Brown, it's not David Copperfield, it's not David Blaine, it's not Di Vernon, it's not Bill Malone, it's not Rune Clarn, it's not Penn and Teller, it's not any of those people. It's a 900-year-old alien with 2 hearts, a sonic screwdriver, and a time-traveling police box. Now that sounds insane. But the more genuinely, the more I think about it, the more I know. The Doctor from Doctor Who is the ultimate magician. In fact, if you look at some of his generations, if you look at some of the iterations of Doctor Who over the years, you actually see him doing magic. Tom Baker, who portrayed the 4th Doctor, would always be doing card tricks and sleight of hand, as was the 3rd Doctor, John Pertwee. When the TV movie happened with Paul McGann, magic was a big part of what he did. And it's continued into New Who as well. He doesn't do tricks, though. A lot of the time, the Doctor doesn't do tricks. He doesn't flash a gimmick. He walks into chaos, solves an unsolvable problem, and leaves people better than he found them, all with a twinkle in his eye and absolutely no explanation. That is the true essence of magic. So today, we're going deep. We're diving into the entire mythology of Doctor Who. From William Hartnell to Ncuti Gatwa, we're going to explore what magicians can learn from the Time Lord known as the Doctor. Because, I promise you, there's a lot more in common than you think. Now, before we start, if you've never heard of Doctor Who before, it's a long-running programme that has been produced by the BBC. It's been around pretty much forever. I think it started in 1966. In the show, the Doctor is actually from Gallifrey, which is his home planet. He's an alien from a race called the Time Lords, and they have basically created the ability to travel in time and space using things called TARDISes, which stands for Time and Relative Dimension in Space. Now, according to Doctor Who, the TV show, the Doctor, and that's all we know him as, the Doctor, stole one of these TARDISes and basically ran away from Gallifrey, and basically spends his entire life just travelling through time and space, helping people that need help. That's basically what the Doctor's all about. Now, the idea of these TARDISes, when it lands, it can blend into its surroundings, but the Doctor's TARDIS is stuck as a police box, which was something that was very popular in the 1960s in the UK. You'd see police boxes all over the place where police could go in and make a phone call or call for help or whatever the case may be. Now, the thing that makes Doctor Who different to almost every single show, and the reason it's been so long running, the success of Doctor Who and its longevity is really because of the fact that the Doctor can regenerate. You see, William Hartnell, who played the first Doctor, when he came to a point where he was too old to really carry on the role, they had a choice: either stop Doctor Who, which they didn't want to do because it was a very popular programme, or come up with a way of having a new actor play the role. So they came up with this idea called regeneration. Time Lords and Gallifrey, if their body is injured or hurt or just aging, can regenerate. They are basically the same person, but their face is different, their look is different, they have a different personality. And that's why there has been 15, well more, I'm not going to get into the lore of Doctor Who, but there's been about 15 actors, stroke an actress, that has played Doctor Who over the years. That's kind of a very brief overview of what it is. Now we're going to what we can learn as magicians from Doctor Who. Okay, number one. The Doctor is a magician. Let's start with the obvious, shall we? The Doctor doesn't carry weapons, he carries tools. Tools used to solve problems, escape and misdirection. He doesn't fight, he performs. He walks into a room full of Daleks and Cybermen, those are his arch enemies, or angry bureaucrats, and somehow he ends up in control. One of the things that I remember hearing in an episode of Doctor Who at some point is the first thing that you'll notice about the Doctor is he doesn't carry any weapons. That's not brute strength. That's stagecraft. He's unpredictable. He's mysterious. He's funny when he wants to be, scary when he needs to be, but always committed to the illusion. That, to me, is magic. And here's why the Doctor is a perfect metaphor to what we should aspire to on stage. He's a performer with purpose. He's a showman who solves problems. And most importantly, he never reveals how the trick is done. Honestly, if you've watched Doctor Who, you'll know that so many times his companions, the people that travel with him, will say, hang on a minute, how did you do that? And he always never tells them. Everything he does with show. And as a magician, we need to do the same thing. We need to be a performer. We need to be a showman. And most importantly, we never want to tell people how it's done. Right, number two, let's talk about the TARDIS. Now, one of the most iconic things in the show is the TARDIS. Like I said, TARDIS stands for time and relative dimension in space. It looks like a blue police box. It's small, it's plain, and unimpressive. But when you open the doors, it's infinite. You see, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. The Doctor will tell you it's dimensional engineering, but that's the most incredible thing. You see, the Doctor travels with companions who watch and kind of learn about what's happening. They're almost like the audience. They're almost like us, the companions, right? And the thing that you always see when a new companion enters the TARDIS for the first time is they're blown away by the fact it's bigger on the inside than on the outside. Now, if that's not a metaphor for magic, I don't know what is. The audience sees a deck of cards, a single coin, a rope, but we as magicians saw there's something so much bigger than what they expected. That moment where someone sees the TARDIS for the first time and they say, it's bigger on the inside, that's exactly what the spectator should say after you finish a routine. I thought that was just going to be a trick, but that was something else. I thought you were just going to come and do a simple trick, but that was really magic. Never underestimate the power of taking something simple and turning it into something endlessly deep. And that's what the TARDIS does. And that's what every good piece of magic should do as well. Okay, number three, regeneration and reinvention. Now, I mentioned regeneration earlier on, but let's talk about it again. Let's talk about regeneration. Like I said, every time the Doctor is fatally wounded or nearing the end of his or her life, instead of dying, the Doctor regenerates. New face, new personality, new era. From Hartnell's stern grandfather to Tennant's swaggering hero to Capaldi's sarcastic punk professor, each Doctor is different, but somehow still the same. Now, magicians, pay attention. How many performers do you know who spend their entire careers doing the same act, the same tricks, with the same script? We've talked about it on this channel all the time. I see so many performers that are just going through the motions. They do the same thing. They don't learn anything new. They do the same 3 or 4 tricks, and that's all they do. Magic to them is no longer fun. Magic to them is no longer wondrous. Magic to them is just a way to pay the bills. You know why the Doctor has lasted for 60 years? It's because he reinvents himself every time he needs to. And we should do the same. If your material feels stale, regenerate it. If your character's gone flat, regenerate it. If your relationship with your audience has changed, lean in and evolve. You have to regenerate. You have to create new shows. You have to create new material. You have to be constantly evolving, because if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. Reinvention doesn't mean abandoning who you are. It means keeping the soul and changing the skin. That's how legends survive, and that's how they stay relevant, and that's how you stay magical. And the perfect example for this is David Penn. He constantly reinvents himself in this industry over and over again. Just at the point where you think, well, maybe it's a bit stale, he's doing something completely different. And that's how he stays at the top of his game. Be like the Doctor. Constantly regenerate and reinvent. Okay, number 4, companions. Now, I mentioned companions earlier on. Okay, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more now. The Doctor never travels alone. He always has at least one companion. In New Who, you've got people like Rose and Donna and Martha and Amy and Rory and Clara and Bill and Yaz. The list goes on and on. In the old Who, you had Tegan, you had Nyssa. Going back further, you had Sarah Jane. Even further back to his granddaughter Susan, if you wanted to. But here's the thing: the companion is not just there for exposition. They're not just side characters. They're the audience surrogate. They react the way we would. They feel the fear, the wonder, the confusion and the awe, and through them we connect to the Doctor. I genuinely believe that one of the reasons Doctor Who has worked as well as it has is because the people that travel with the Doctor are relatable. We can relate to them, and it almost feels like we're there in that magical box with them as well. Now think about your magic. Your spectator is your companion. You're not just doing tricks at them, you're taking them on an adventure. So stop treating the audience like furniture. They're not props. They're not just card selections. They're part of the story. Include them, respect them, make them feel seen. Some of the most magical moments that I create in my show is where I'm doing something where the spectator is seen to be the magician. The spectator is seen to be the mind reader. That moment that you allow that to happen is the strongest moment that you will ever experience, because now it's not you doing the magic, it's them. The Doctor always makes the companion feel essential. Even when he knows more, even when he's manipulating the outcome, he never belittles their role. Be like the Doctor and let your audiences feel important. This is one of the most important things that you can learn from Doctor Who. Okay, number 5, the sonic screwdriver. Now, I didn't really mention the sonic screwdriver before, but the sonic screwdriver is another iconic Doctor Who element. It's been with the Doctor right from the very beginning. There's been moments where it's been phased out. The 5th Doctor, who was my Doctor, by the way, when I got into Doctor Who, it was with Peter Davidson. He didn't really have a sonic screwdriver, but most of the iterations of the Doctor has. It's not a weapon. It's not a flashy gadget. It's a tool of cleverness. It opens doors, scans tech. It gets him out of trouble, and it's his. Every Doctor has a slightly different one. Some glow green, others glow blue. One of them is literally built out of a steampunk Swiss Army knife. Shutigawa, the latest Doctor, had some sort of flat disc type thing, but they all feel extensions of him. Now here's the point. Your magic props should do the same. If you walk out with a folding coin and a Sharpie and a stack of gaff cards, that's fine, but do they feel like they belong to you? Props are more than just tools. They should fit your character. They should feel part of you. Look at Ryland. He always does magic with props that a kid would have. He does magic with Rubik's Cubes. He does magic with teddy bears. He does magic with Lego. He does magic with that sort of thing. You get my point. He does magic with the sort of stuff that you would see a kid carrying around. The amount of kids I've seen do magic, and they're doing magic with things that a kid would never do magic with. The Doctor wouldn't use a wand. You probably shouldn't use a sonic screwdriver, but you should use props that reflect your story, your persona, and your version of magic. And by the way, on this point, if you're ever trying to come up with a routine, if you're ever trying to come up with something interesting, if you're ever trying to come up with an interesting premise that you can use in your show, just watch a few episodes of Doctor Who. I'm telling you, that is the absolute best way to do it. I've got multiple show tricks in my close-up that involve the use of psychic paper. Now, psychic paper paper is a thing that's in Doctor Who. It got introduced in New Who, and it's basically a little wallet, and you show it to somebody, and they see what they want to see. So he can walk into a building that he's not allowed to be in and flash this, and they're going to think that he's meant to be there, right? That's basically what psychic paper is, right? I use that premise so much in my magic, as I do sonic screwdrivers and a bunch of other stuff from Doctor Who as well. If you're struggling for premises for your show, absolutely 100% you should be looking at Doctor Who. Okay, number 6, the rules of the audience. Doctor Who is a rule, no guns. The Doctor solves problems without violence. Now, occasionally that's tested and occasionally that's deviated from, but generally as a rule, that's the philosophy. No guns, no violence. Always be kind, never be cruel. And now that creates tension. It forces clever solutions. Now, in magic, we have rules too. But too many magicians break them or ignore them because they think the audience doesn't care. Here's what you can learn from Doctor Who. Create your own internal rules for your magic universe and stick to them. Maybe your rule is you'd never repeat a trick. Maybe your rule is you never speak like Teller. Maybe your rule is you never touch the cards. Whatever your rule is, it creates structure, and structure creates art. You don't have to stick to the rules that magicians from hundreds of years ago have said that we should do. That's not a problem, but you should create your own rule set. The best magicians are the ones who operate within boundaries, even if they set the boundaries in the first place, the same way the Doctor does. So if you've never actually sat down and worked out what the rules are for your own performances, work out those rules and then make sure when you perform, you stick to them. Okay, number 7, the power of story. Now, I've talked about how the Doctor is enduring. The Doctor has been around for years. I mean, how many TV shows do you know that started in the 1960s and are still alive and well now? But you know what makes the Doctor so enduring? It's not the monsters. It's not the catchphrases. It's not even the regenerations. It's the stories. Each episode, whether it's a haunted house in Victorian London or a war on a distant moon, is about something real. Grief, loss, courage, forgiveness, identity, time, and that's why it matters. Now, some episodes and some stories are better than others, I'll give you that, and there's been times when Doctor Who has struggled with the stories, but it's always been about storytelling. Now, think about your magic. Are you telling stories? Or are you just doing tricks? A trick without meaning is just a puzzle, but a trick wrapped in a story, even a light, funny one, becomes memorable. Now, I've already said openly on this channel over and over again, I'm not a storyteller. I have got tricks in my repertoire that involve telling stories, but generally I'm not a storyteller. But there is absolutely a narrative through every trick that I perform. There is a narrative. They understand. The audience understands why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why it matters. And that's important. Doctor Who doesn't care about plot holes. It cares about emotion, and magic is the same. No one remembers the exact method of the trick, but they'll remember how it made them feel, and that's important. Try to create magic that's emotive. Make people laugh, make people smile, make people care, make people give a damn. That's when magic becomes something more than just a trick. Okay, number 8, the villains. The Doctor's best stories comes when he faces a proper threat. The Master, the Weeping Angels, the Daleks, the Cyberman, the Davros, the leader of the Daleks, the Silence. I could go on and on. A lot of the villains in Doctor Who are iconic. Sometimes it's the same villain coming back again and again. Sometimes it's something brand new that we've never seen before. The villains force the Doctor to dig deeper, to think harder, to show what he's made of. As magicians, we don't have villains in the same way, but we do have stakes. Every trick should feel like something's on the line. Otherwise, why care? Honestly, think about that. Why should your audience care about your performance? They care because there is something at stake. You can inject stakes into your performance through presentation, through character, through emotional tension, through building up a particular narrative. If even a card trick can feel like life or death if you present it that way. Now, I don't mean that you should make every single trick variations of smash and stab, but I do think that you should try and make every trick matter. Make people care about every single trick and tell them why they should care. The Doctor treats every episode like the fate of the universe hangs in the balance. You should treat your performance with the same level of importance. Okay, number 9, the Doctor's core ethos. Now, there's been a quote that's been passed down through multiple incarnations of the Doctor, and it varies every single time, but it's something like this: never cruel or cowardly, never give up, never give in. That was the most iconic moment I remember that being said, is when Peter Capaldi was regenerating into Jodie Whittaker, and he the story up until that point is he wasn't going to regenerate. He was going to give up. He was going to end it all, but he decided to actually, let his body regenerate one more time, and he was going around the TARDIS basically talking to his future self and telling his future self, never be cruel, never be cowardly, never give up, never give in. If there's one thing magicians should take from Doctor Who, and that's why this is the last point, it's this. Because when you stand on stage, you hold all the power. You can amaze, you can belittle, you can manipulate, you can inspire. It's your choice. I've seen magicians walk on stage and completely belittle their audiences, and the audiences hate it. And I've seen people walk on stage and light up the audience. You have the power to choose what to do, so choose carefully. Don't humiliate people. Don't insult their intelligence. Don't be cruel with your magic. I'm not saying you can't do comedy magic. I'm not saying you can't bring people up on stage. I'm not saying you can't create a scenario where somebody is, a stooge in some way. But ultimately, it needs to come back on you, not on them. People are coming up to help your show, and you need to treat them with a certain level of respect. Be clever, be charming, be kind. The Doctor always leaves people better than he found them, and when you go on stage or you perform close-up, you should do the same. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. You don't have to wear a bow tie. You don't need a fez. You don't need a TARDIS. You don't have to fight Daleks. You don't have to go backward and forward in time and space. You don't need a piece of psychic paper. You don't need a sonic screwdriver. You don't need companions, but you can walk into a room and make people feel like anything is possible. You can take the ordinary and make it extraordinary. You can be mysterious. You can be powerful. You can be kind. You can be unforgettable all at the same time, and that is what the Doctor does. And that's what great magicians do as well. And if you've ever felt lost as a performer, or you wonder who you want to be on stage, just ask yourself, what would the Doctor do? Because if you answer that honestly, you'll never put on a bad show again. So, here's what I want you to do now. Two things. Number one, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've watched Doctor Who and if you agree with this video, if you think I'm talking total rubbish. Second of all, is there a moment in Doctor Who or something that we can take from Doctor Who that you think should have been in this list that I've missed? In which case, let me know down below. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, just for fun, let me know who your favourite Doctor is down below. Mine is Peter Davison. And if I'm talking New Who, I'd have to say Matt Smith. So, you let me know down below what you think. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video. And please don't forget, if you want to join the Netrix, which is my online streaming platform for magicians, all you got to do is go to thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. You can get access immediately. I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.